Welcome to One Insight. My name is Rich Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can actually be lonely. You can feel like more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything.
Tim is a member of Transition Excellence. It's a program I run to teach high-level leaders how to become high-level coaches. And he's been feeling guilty. He's been feeling this sense of he's lost his way because he's in 3 different coach trainings right now. This is a man who's driven by the need to learn and grow. And he's this sense of guilt because he's not doing it and he needed time out. At the beginning, he wants to enroll me in a story, which I pause him. And then also what's kind of fun is you'll see me a little distracted if you're watching the video because I've got this great new camera set up with this crystal clear image, except the darn thing keeps focusing on the background and not on me. It just did it. And I'm moving backwards and forwards. And there comes a moment when I realize and I call myself out. And I say it to Tim and it brings me back to presence. And sometimes when we're coaching, we are distracted and we try and hide it. And actually, it's really perfect to tell your client what's going on because it will bring you back to the presence that they're craving and that you need. And I model that for you here. Enjoy. Hello, Tim.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You had to take a bit of courage in your hands to say yes to this. You didn't have to be coached by me on a podcast, but Sure. Here you are. How can I support you?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, actually. Well, my pleasure. How can I support you?
I've been going through. I'm on your Transition Excellence program, and I've been going through a bit of a downer the last couple of weeks, and kind of withdrew from engagement, and withdrew from engagement in the Facebook group as well. And I've been kind of really thinking through why I got there, what took me there, and part of it was an exercise we did, which was all about your story, the storytelling, the story whisperer kind of thing, which the person who did that with me took me to a very good place. But So
let me pause you for a second, Tim, because what I'm realizing, and this is, I'll mention this for everyone else who's listening, who's a coach. Tim's telling a very engaging story. And if we were working together and we had an hour, I want to dive in and I give you real space to share that story. However, two things. One, we have a bit less time than that. And 2, more importantly, I'm conscious that you didn't answer the question that I asked. I asked what would make this a really special session. So let me ask if I need to know more of the story.
Okay.
And there'll be a place for it. And thanks for trusting me that I can say it in this way with you. But come back to my question. What would make this a really special conversation?
Coming out of it with real clarity and renewed purpose and focus. I kind of feel I've lost my way. I've been derailed a bit,
Got it. You mentioned you're in Transition Excellence. This is a community I created, a program I created for people who've been leaders in a previous role and want to come out into the world and coaching leaders. And you're in this community, something happened, you feel you've been derailed, lost your way a little bit, and you want to get back to that sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Feels good. What do you like when you're on purpose, Tim?
I can be extraordinarily effective and extraordinarily productive and wholeheartedly engaged, full of energy.
Yeah, I can feel it in your words. I mean, you just embodied it as you shared that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a distinction between being on purpose and having a purpose. What's your purpose? What are you about? What do you do? What is it you're about?
I went through an exercise to try and define this last year, kind of autumn last year, and really distilled it down to helping people learn and grow, which I still really like, but I find it's not giving me energy. It's not specific enough. It's just, it's kind of like something you find on the back of a fact packet kind of thing. It's not really driving. People wouldn't find it on the back of a fact packet, but you know what I mean. It's not driving me.
That's a cigarette packet for all my American listeners. So helping people learn and grow. Look, what I get about you, Tim, is that you couldn't not be learning and growing if you tried, right?
Yeah.
It's just who you are. So it makes sense to me. We're not trying to create a nice little page on a website or a marketing line. This is who you are. It's what you do. You help people learn and grow.
Yeah. And I have done that throughout my career. Before I decided to transition into coaching, I did that throughout my career in every role I was in very, very different segments, sectors and industries.
So what's missing now? Because again, I feel you embody it. It's, yep, absolutely, Rich. It's just what I've done all my career. I help people learn and grow. And I do it myself at the same time.
What's different now? Self-employment is different now. So I'm having to create the context. That's rather than the context being created for me. I'm having to set and work to my own internal expectations rather than being driven by somebody else's agenda, somebody else's external expectations and routines. And obviously in terms of business, there's a whole thing about client creation, but as I'm not really at that point yet, that isn't necessarily a stopper for me.
I'm pausing, and for anyone who's listening, it's okay to pause when you're coaching a client if you're not sure where to go. I wouldn't normally say this out loud, but I'm in real time. I can share what I put my thoughts on loudspeaker, and it's a value if you're listening, because sometimes when we watch coaching happen, we only see what's on the outside. And so I do pause, Tim, because I get it. You're no longer having an agenda driven by someone else. You're a business owner now, so you're creating yourself, everything that you do. But I'm curious about why you think you need to have this constant sense of being on. Oh, this is it. Okay. Sometimes, again, just for everyone who's listening, sometimes as a coach, you have to hear your words come out to find out where it's going to go. I'm not an athlete, so I shouldn't really use sporting metaphors, but I'm someone who continually learns and grows just like you. But I know if you're an athlete, you shouldn't be on all the time. You take time to rest. And my sense is, as a man who loves to learn and grow, there's this feeling that you should be learning and growing constantly. And if you've taken a break, there's something wrong.
Yeah, and I've definitely overcommitted myself at the moment in terms of the learning, in terms of my capacity to absorb the learning and translate it into real, tangible action.
Yeah.
I found myself on 3 certification programs at the same time.
Gotcha.
And I'm doing none of them justice. And I know that. I went into overwhelm, and you end up doing nothing on any of them rather than something on all of them, or a lot on all of them. So that's definitely one aspect of it. I had a conversation recently with someone about where I kept saying, I need to do this and I need to do that, and trying to really realize the difference for me between when I say need as opposed to really wanting it.
Yeah. My experience, Tim, is that when people come into this field called coaching, and I'm sorry if you see me distracted, my camera is also focusing on the background and not on me. So I'm trying to be as present with you as I can. If you're listening, it doesn't matter to you. But I'd rather say this in real time. This is what happens sometimes. There are distractions for us when we're coaches. Our kids bust in the room. We get a text and we realize, oh my God, my wife needs me right now. We're not fully present. And I found the best thing to do is to say that out loud. Now I can relax. Now, guess what? The camera's focusing on me again. Look, I see this a lot. This is what happens in transition excellence, particularly where we have these high-level leaders been very successful in other careers. They come in and feel like they're a beginner. And they do all these different certifications because they need some kind of piece of paper. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Was it the Scarecrow who wanted the brain, and the Wizard of Oz gave him a certificate at the end of the movie? It's like, you don't need that, Tim. You might think you need it for yourself, but you're a man who's been constantly growing and learning for your entire life and career. None of that is left behind. One of the things I say actually out loud, I don't know if you recall, but the first conversation in Transition Excellence was, I don't care whether you guys watch every video I made. I don't care whether you read every article I wrote for the program. What I care about is if you listen to one thing and go and apply it, because then your world will change. And I think that's what you might want to consider is, what am I applying right now? You don't need any, there's no more learning you need to do. All the learning has been done. In fact, you need a moratorium on courses, and you're on a course ban.
I've done that.
and is it possible to put any of them on hold for a period of time? The current ones you're on?
Yeah, I could put one of them on hold. I mean, in a way, I've put all of them on hold by simply not applying myself fully to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you used a phrase, I think, in that same first welcome, actually, about being over-obligated and under-committed.
Yeah.
Which actually has really resonated with me ever since.
Yeah.
But it was too late to change it. And what I found is that I am over-obligated and under-committed.
What
Not
could
in the
you
sense
take?
of wanting to do it, but in the sense of making the right time and arrangements and self-management to do it.
Well, that's a great phrase, the right time. I'm not saying stop all these qualifications, don't ever do them. You might want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. What if now's not the right time? So what could you take off this to-do list that you have that's overwhelming you right now? It sounds like at least one of these qualifications you could put on pause.
I could put it on pause, yeah. It's self-driven. So the timetable is mine, but I'm working with a group of people, and therefore I'm trying to adhere to a timetable with that. But I can just put that on hold.
Well, one of the things you might be surprised at is that if you model for them the power of what to do when you're over-obligated and under-committed, you'll actually be giving them the best teaching and support you could possibly give them by pulling out, rather than staying in and pretending that you're committed when you're not really.
Yeah, that resonates. Because I know I've been kind of blagging my way through a bit, and that doesn't sit comfortably with me either, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So you haven't so much lost your way as needed time to work out what was really going on and what was really important to you. And you've had a sense of guilt, I imagine, this cloud of guilt over you. Okay, if you're listening, there's a massive smile on his face right now.
Guilt and shame, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, great. So a friend of mine told me many years ago, if you have the choice of guilt or obligation, choose guilt every time.
I'm not sure I get that. Choose guilt or obligation. Choose guilt every time.
When you have the option of either guilt or obligation, choose guilt every time.
That's an invitation to overcommit.
No, it's the guilt of, I'm going to leave you guys. I said I'd be with you because I was feeling obliged, and I'm going to feel guilty leaving.
Okay.
Look, actually, what's dawning on me
I was reading as take it on and accept the guilt.
I get it. What I realized for you is you're going to feel guilty whichever choice you make, Tim. If you stay with them, you're going to feel guilty you're not fully present. And if you leave, you're going to feel guilty. And since guilt is the denominator in both cases, you can cancel it out. And the only question is really, what do you want to do?
Yeah. And that comes back to, the FOMO-JOMO kind of equation, fear of missing out, or conversely, the joy of missing out because you have so many opportunities. Take joy in the fact that you can turn them down.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, you're a learner. You're already trying to turn this into a lesson. It's great. And stay with this moment, okay? In this moment, you have a choice. Whichever choice you make, you're going to feel guilty. It's one of those frames that you apparently run in your life. And since you'll feel guilty if you stay in those communities or you leave them, then take out the guilt. What do you want to do? If you didn't have to feel guilty no matter what you chose, if in fact, by choosing to stay or choosing to leave, it will be the biggest gift you'd give to that community, what would your choice be?
To focus on one thing. To focus on one thing and do it really well.
Yeah. And if you're listening, the sound of insight is sometimes just a solidity in the way somebody responds. I really felt that, Tim. You got it. There's no more coaching needed in this moment. You'll do what you need to do, and you'll do it when you need to do it. Sometimes we continue to feel guilt for a while longer than we need to. There's choice in there. You got this. And just like an athlete, those of us who love to learn and grow need time to stop. We need time to sit on the couch and watch Netflix and binge watch our favorite TV show or read a great book that's nothing to do with learning and growing or going out for walks in nature. And so just like a great athlete, give yourself space to take time out. It's okay. In fact, it's what will make you a really great learner.
It's funny you say that because I kind of took time out while withdrawing and read a whole series of novels, and within them found a whole load of messages that I needed to hear.
There you go.
Still learning.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks very much, Rich. Really appreciate that.
For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching, it was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.